This is Maverick Green. Have you not met Maverick? This is our little girl. She is a year and a half. She'll be two in September. She might be doing the whole start kit. All right. Then you know when you're starting. Okay. Thanks, Don. Oh, yeah. So on the slide, the YouTube videos.
Chris. Yes.
It goes one way towards Indiana. So if you come up Belfry, from Belfry, you turn right, then you towards Northern Avenue. It's on the so it's open. It's on the east side. It's on the east side. It's not. Yeah, it's on the west side. It's funny hours and something I've seen is gardens.
I put my microphone on. Phone? That's not a phone. That's a cord. Can you say cord? Yeah. Cord. Hey, no thank you. We don't play with cords. No thank you. Good morning. Good morning, friends. Welcome here to UU Mount Airy. I'm Reverend McKinley Sims. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm back from sabbatical. If you weren't here last week to help me get my feet back under me, we had a lovely service, and we're glad to be together today. I've got lots of support here. We have Connor, our man in the back, working the AV. We have Lynn offering piano music, and the wonderful Nate Berge, and the Hail Raisers Band is providing music today. We are so grateful for all of that support and for all of you who have chosen to be here with us today. If this is your first time with us, we are so glad to welcome you here to this historic sanctuary that was once known as the Universalist Church of the Restoration, that is home to this congregation, UU's of Mount Airy. We're more than 200 years old and looking better every single day. Please take a moment to silence any cell phones, beepers, pagers, fax machines, anything you have with you that will make noise, so that we may be as present as possible here in this space. If this is your first time, we have restrooms at the rear of the sanctuary, down the stairs to your right, or down the handicap accessible lift to your left. For kids who are here, we will have a story for all ages in the middle of the service, and then we invite our kids downstairs with Miss Jill and Miss Lena for our religious exploration service later today. If you want to stay here in the sanctuary, that's also just fine. Friends who are watching us online via Zoom, it's good to see you and be seen by you. If you need closed captions, please click on the closed caption button to help you understand me a little bit more, because I'm going to be doing a lot of talking today. All right, friends, let's settle in where we are and hear these words. This is a Unitarian Universalist congregation, which means that we are people of many differences, different faith traditions, different racial identities, different gender expressions, and different ways of moving in the world. And we show up here in this place to be people of togetherness, to make covenant promises to be together, and to act with love for transformation, liberation, and healing. Thank you. Today's service is about eco-theology and what it means to put your hands into the ground to build resistance and resilience. We'll be talking about gardening metaphors. You'll hear about our garden that's happening outside, and we invite you to find ways to bloom in this hour with us this morning. Let's settle ourselves by taking a nice, easy breath together to come into this space. In and out. Those who breathe together are together, and we are glad to be together today. In Unitarian Universalist congregations, we light a chalice, the symbol of our faith, to mark the sacredness of being in community, to invite Spirit into our lives. Thank you. And to speak to the wisdom of this congregation. Our words will be shared on the screen as I'm going to ask my two little ones to come help me light a chalice. Hey, come here. Will you read these words with me as we light our chalice? No, thank you. We light this chalice as part of a whole world. Holy world, blessed be. Thank you. Our opening hymn is number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning. I'm going to invite you to rise in body or in spirit to sing from the gray hymnal or from the words that are on the screen behind me. Number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning. Thank you. You may be seated. Part of our building beloved community here at UU Mount area is through the sharing of our joys and sorrows, sharing the authentic and vulnerable parts of ourself. If this is your first time here, we do it with a very simple ritual that you are welcome to participate in. From a basket at the rear of the sanctuary or here at the front, there is a stone or a few stones that might be calling to you. I invite you to come up by this side aisle, grab a stone from the basket, take a second to check in with yourself and ask, what am I feeling? What am I holding? What am I experiencing as a human being in all of this? And let that stone become infused with those needs, wishes, hopes, joys, sorrows, despairs. And drop it into the bowl of water that symbolizes this community and how we help hold one another through this human life. If you have something especially pressing that you would like to share, I'm going to invite you to use this microphone. Thank you for that example. Speak directly into it. Tell us your name and what you're feeling and experiencing. Please be mindful that we are live streaming right now, and this is being recorded, so if you're not comfortable with that, you don't have to come up here. But we invite you to share whatever it is that you need to be, that you need to share, and that you need help holding today. We'll listen to some music, and then we will gather together afterwards for a small moment of prayer. Friends who are online, if you will use your Zoom chat and use the share function and tell us if you would like your joy and sorrow shared out loud, we will drop a stone in on your behalf. Come, come, whoever you are, the table of joys and sorrows is open.
Hi, my name is Jane, and I'm here to share joy. My son Adam, who lives in Denver, is coming this weekend to visit me and the family. I usually go there twice a year, but I said, why don't you come here so you can see my new apartment and my new life here and see the rest of the family. So I'm so excited.
Hi, I'm Jill. I'm sharing a joy this time. 3 weeks ago, it was a sorrow. And my joy now is my cat, Cleo. We buried her in the backyard. And I bought a little mini rose bush. And I was waiting for my son to come and help me put it in. So he came over, he put it in. And then we decided, I said, do you have any mulch in the garage? He manages the garage. So we put mulch out. We made a wonderful little garden for Cleo. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to get like a headstone from Etsy or something, and just write how much I loved her. And the weird thing is that a little cat like this can change the dynamic of your life. It was just so amazing. Now that she's gone, the other cats are starting to come and sleep in the bed with me because she slept with me every night. But they do not get on the pillow that she slept on. It's so weird. And so I don't try to get them to get up there either. Anyway, thank you for all your condolences. I really appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Sandy Fulton. I've been a member here for too long for me to even try to count. And I want to ask if anybody could help me. Just a short period of time to come over to my apartment and help me try to get one of my bookcases stationary. And I would appreciate that very, very much. Now, I also have some pretty good news. We're getting our air conditioning back on the 5th of May, and we sure needed it. 2 nights ago, I couldn't get to sleep till 3 o'clock in the morning. And it was just so hot in there. It gets up to 88 sometimes at night. And anyway, that's what I need. We are going to start getting back into our apartments as soon as they finish, but they're going to start on my floor where, we are located. And we're going to start on the 12th, so-called start, because it can get postponed again. I hope not. And so I don't know when it's going to end, but the rest of the month. But you will see me, because there's no reason for me to stay home, on Sundays. Thank you very, very much. Bye-bye.
Good morning, my name is Bill, and we're thinking about Noah, that Susan has cancer, and we're thinking about her and wishing her a good luck.
Yes, so that's right. Aunt Laura, Aunt Susan, and my Aunt Kin. But everybody's hanging in there. And I'm just such a joy and sorrow together. This Mount Airy is just like, I think the azaleas, like right now, are just, so we have one right in our front porch. It's so beautiful. We're just like a sea of pink and purple. It's so beautiful. And I would have texted my mom a photo of the azaleas, and she's not here. So just feeling that joy and sorrow together. Anyway.
My name is Barbara, and it's just the joy of spring and new beginnings.
My name is Linda, and first I want us to remember Suzanne Weltman, who passed away about a year ago at this time. And I also am thinking of my friend Jane, whose partner Robert died this past week up in Massachusetts. And I have a joy. This week I got to meet this lovely family from Nigeria. I sit on the board of a nonprofit that's based in Nigeria, and the director was in North America for a few months, and I got to meet her, and it was just such a joy to meet her and her family.
Morning, I'm Ann. I think I'm having whiplash. It's so beautiful out there. But yesterday in the beautiful West Laurel Hill, we had an interment for my very old friend who died over the solstice, and she lived in Denver for a long time, but she's here now with her second husband and her son who passed, who was my son's best friend back in the day. So then I love the hymn we did, and I celebrate the earth, but I also cry for what I see is happening to our earth, which is one of my feasts. And I am glad that Pope Francis brought us Easter. He died on a good day, but more sadness about that.
Hello, my name is Annie, and I have a couple of things, actually 3, on my mind today. First is to send love out to Gary Sobolo. And what's on my big mind about what's going on is children, in particular those immigrant children, period. But there are those, they no longer have representation in court. So like I'm hearing stories of 4-year-olds and 2-year-olds going into court without representation. I also have trans children on my mind because they are not able to get the care that they need, and they are being cruelly oppressed.
Good morning, my name is Portia. Can you hear me? Okay. And I am in 2 places. One is with the joy of what's happening with the colors and the brilliance of spring, and the other is with the sadness of loss. I've lost 4 friends who have transitioned over the last week, and I feel sad about that, really sad, but the joy of spring is still with me. Ashe.
Hi, I'm Mary Ellen. I haven't been up here in a long time, probably because I might talk too much, so forgive me. Anyway, I got a lot of joy because I'm digging into the earth, and the earth is hurting. There's a lot of sorrow attached to that with some of the fires out there. Reminds us of global warming, and the sorrow attached to that is my family was involved with the fires in New Jersey and almost lost their home, and it was very traumatic. You know, we see this thing in California, but it really hit. So, having this garden nearby, digging in, it is the greatest joy in the world. Born and bred a city gal, the fact that I could get into the earth and be a half-assed farmer is mind-blowing. And you're digging, you put your sorrows in, you take that joy out. And it's always this incredible thing when you're gardening or we're seeing these trees come up. It's like this mini miracle, and I'm using that word quite loosely, but look at all the sorrow in the world and all the pain and suffering, and then we see these trees and there's pink rain out there. And then we're going to see harvest and things grow, and we're going to eat these vegetables, and they're going to go in that pantry. Even if we don't, you know, someone's going to eat them. And this is just absolutely amazing. And I think it was Kurt Vonnegut who said, I'm not sure, if this isn't nice, I don't know what is. So, thank you.
Hello, my name is Ellen, and I just want to remember Pope Francis today, who was such a model of leadership that we needed. And I just celebrate his funeral mass, in which he had an honor guard of transgender and unhoused and, well, prisoners in his procession, and had such a simple service and burial. And just hope that the conclave has the wisdom to elect someone who will continue some of his legacy.
I'm Sharon. I especially want to do a shout out to Lori Durkin, who did an outstanding job yesterday getting the town hall off the ground. Every pew was filled. And we had Senator Hayward and Rep. Rob and several other local community reps who were very motivating and very on target, and they're doing an amazing job in the positions that they're in, difficult jobs that they're in, and got a lot of people inspired. And I hope we will continue that, because that's part of the work that we do here.
Good morning. I'm trying to talk right into the mic. I got a few joys today. Chris, can you stand up? Chris, you right there. Yeah, you're right there. I want to personally say, so I want everybody to know, I'm still a Pew Fellow, at least until July 31st of this year. I got the Pew in August 1st of 2023. And it was Chris that helped me and stay strong with that application. So I want to personally, that's one of my joys, is thank you so much to say publicly that you really helped me stay focused and getting that grant and fellowship. So thank you. And from that, I was able to make a number of projects. And this coming week, I'm also a playwright besides a percussionist. So I'm looking forward today with playing with the new musical director. And I have a play coming out this coming Saturday, called I Beat the Devil Running, and I'm so glad. And it's dealing with sexual abuse in the Black church. It's based on someone's personal story. So I hope you come out and see it. And there was a correction on the flyer, so maybe the newsletter might say one address, but the real address will come back out again. I'll make sure I share the right address. But thank you so much for your support. I'm always glad to be here, and I feel like I get stronger every time I come back to here, so thank you.
Drop a few more stones into this bowl for all those joys and sorrows not spoken out loud, but held in the quiet of our hearts. And then I'm going to invite us into a moment of stillness. Down here. Invite us just to breathe in all that has been shared today. I invite you to close your eyes for just a moment. If you want to put your hand on your heart, you can, to feel your heartbeat. You can put your hands in your lap. Try to sit up just a little bit taller and feel your breath coming in and out. Respirating, bringing in oxygen, blowing out carbon dioxide. Being part of the great circle of life. What we breathe out, the plants breathe in. And what the plants breathe in, we breathe out. For all these joys and sorrows that are commingled in our bodies and in our hearts and in our spirits, we're grateful for all that it is to be alive, and grateful for the community that holds us together. Blessed be. Thank you. Now, if you haven't noticed, it's time for little ones to come down. And we're going to listen to a story on our big screen before we go downstairs for RE. So I invite children of all ages, if you're feeling brave and you want to come with your parents or adults, come on down. We can sit here on the carpet, and we're going to watch an Earth Day story called Dear Earth by Isabel Otter. Come on down, find a space to sit where you can see. Might be over here, not on the amps or the nice equipment.
Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be reading Dear Earth for story time.
Thank you, Connor. Can you turn it up a little bit?
Otter, and
Out here in the
illustrated by
sanctuary.
Clara Anganuzzi. And I'm joined today by my little helper, Lauren the cat. When Tessa and Grandpa went walking, he would tell her about the Earth. Grandpa had been an explorer once. He had seen many wondrous things and loved to tell Tessa about his adventures. As Grandpa talked, pictures were painted in Tessa's mind. She decided to write a letter to the Earth. But where to begin? Start by writing Dear Earth, then let your imagination flow, said Grandpa. Dear Earth, Tessa began. The sea roared in the distance, and Tessa continued to write. My grandpa has told me a lot about you, and you sound wonderful. One day, I'm going to be an explorer, just like Grandpa. Most of your surface is covered in water. I want to dive into your deep oceans and see shoals of swirling fish. I'd blow bubbles with the whales and glide like the turtles. I'd love to explore your lands too. When the animals stampede, I'd run amongst them. My heart would beat as loudly as their thundering hooves. You are home to gigantic megabeasts, as well as teeny-weeny creatures. I want to run through your meadows and kiss the butterflies, splash under waterfalls and float in blue lagoons. Part of you is frozen over. Do you ever feel the cold? Grandpa says that unicorns swim in the Arctic. You have a spine of mountains that tower over everything. Some of them have their heads in the clouds. In the underwater forest of the mangroves, sharks keep their babies safe. I'd like to slide down desert dunes, but avoid the prickly cacti. When the bears go fishing, I'd watch and dip my toes in the river. Up in your rainforest canopy, I would join in with the screeching hullabaloo of the birds and monkeys. High in the sky, I would fly with the birds, soaring and swooping. Up, up I'd go. Earth, you are full of such wonder, but you're fragile. And you need love and care. Grandpa says that humans have hurt you, but we can heal you too. The sea continued to roar in the distance as she finished her letter simply. Love from Tessa. Grandpa and Tessa walked down to the beach together. I wish everyone knew how special Earth is, said Tessa. Do you think if people realised then they would want to look after the earth and keep it safe. Yes, I do, said Grandpa, taking Tessa's hand. Perhaps if enough of us share the message, we can still save our dear earth. The end. Now, if any of you would like to write your own letter to the earth, then you can download a letter template from the Little Tiger website. And I would absolutely love to see what you can come up with, so do share it on social media if you have it. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, friends. Okay, we're going to let you go downstairs if you want to go downstairs with Miss Jill and Miss Lena to learn more about Earth Day, to make some art, and to maybe write some of your own letters to our dear Earth. We're going to sing a song to let you out. The words will be shared to the screen for those who know the tune. I invite you to sing along. As you leave this space, know that you belong. Know that you are not alone. Know that you are loved. As you leave this space, know that you belong. Know that you are not alone. Know that you are loved. Thank you, friends. We're going to do our offering here this morning. If this is your first time with us, there is no expectation that you give anything to the plate that will be passed around, other than one of the colored contact cards that is in your pew to let us know how you found us and how we can further support you. The offering goes to two different places here. So anything you put into the plate goes towards the operating fund of this congregation. Anything that you put in the envelopes that are in your pew, where you can mark change for change, goes towards a different organization each month. This month of April 2025, it is Esperanza Immigrant Legal Services, an organization providing free immigration legal services, education, and advocacy to support low-income Latino and other immigrants so they can live here safely. There's more info on the screen behind me, in your order of service on how to give using the mobile app. But we're just glad to be together, so anything you can give is appreciated, and we are so grateful to have our offertory coming from the brand newly minted Hail Razors Band. So would you help me welcome them to the stage?
Test.
I got so down and troubled, I nearly lost my head. I started waking every morning, feeling sadness, fear, and dread. The world I took for granted was crashing to the ground. I realized I may not live long enough to ever see it turn around. But then I got to thinking of the ones who came before, and all the sacrifices that they made to open up so many doors. Doors I got to walk through on streets paid for me by people who were working on a world they never got to see. Now I'm working on a world I may never see. I'm joining forces with the warriors of love who came before and who'll follow you and me. I get up every morning knowing I'm privileged just to be working on a world I may never troubles of the day, but neither did all our ancestors, and they persevered anyway. When I see a little baby reaching out its arms to me, I remember why I'm working on a world that I may never see. Now I'm working on a world I may never see. I'm joining forces with the warriors of love who came before and will follow you and me. I get up in the morning knowing I'm privileged just to be working on a world I may never see. Yeah, I'm working on a world I may never see.
Thank you. Hell yeah. Thank you, band. Beautiful. Our reading this morning is from a newer version of sacred scripture, as I like to talk about. This is the book Braiding Sweetgrass. It's by Robin Wall Kimmerer. If you have not read this book, oh my goodness, it is so, so good. So I pulled some excerpts from this book, Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teachings of Plants. Hear these words. Each person, human or no, is bound to every other in a reciprocal relationship. Just as all beings have a duty to me, I have a duty to them. If an animal gives its life to feed me, I am in turn bound to support its life. If I receive a stream's gift of pure water, then I am responsible for returning a gift in kind. An integral part of a human's education is to know those duties and how to perform them. Action on behalf of life transforms, because the relationship between self and the world is reciprocal. It is not a question of first getting enlightened or saved and then acting. As we work to heal the earth heals us. Knowing that you love the earth changes you, activates you to defend and protect and celebrate. And when you feel that the earth loves you in return, that feeling transforms the relationship from a one-way street into a sacred bond, part of the moral covenant of reciprocity. This covenant calls us to honor our responsibilities for all we have been given, for all that we have taken. It is our turn now, long overdue. Gifts of mind, hands, heart, voice, and vision, all offered up on behalf of the earth. Whatever our gift, we are called to give it and to dance for the renewal of the world. People often ask me what one thing I would recommend to restore relationship between land and people. My answer is almost always plant a garden. It's good for the health of the earth, and it's good for the health of people. A garden is a nursery for nurturing connection, the soil for cultivation of practical reverence, and its power goes far beyond the garden gate. Once you develop a relationship with a little patch of earth, that becomes a seed in itself. Something essential happens in a veggie garden. It's a place where if you can't say I love you out loud, you can say it in seeds, and the land will reciprocate in beans. Take a moment to hear those words. Spoken to so wonderfully by Mary Ellen. Thank you for that. And let's sing. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit to sing hymn number 1007. There's a river flowing in my soul. The words are in the teal hymnal or on the screen behind me. 1007, there's a river flowing in my soul. Thank you. You may be seated. So 10 years ago, I was in grad school. And while I was in grad school for the 3 years I was there at Princeton, it was a pretty transformative time to be studying for seminary. At that point, I had never heard of the word eco-theology that we're talking about today. But I was following the news, and we had a lot of big news stories. There was President Obama's second election while I was there in seminary. We had Pope Watch for Pope Francis. And let me tell you, it was like the moon landing in a bunch of theology classes where we stopped to see what color the smoke was. There was the polity change in the Presbyterian Church USA that allowed queer ministers to lead and to be ordained. And that was the beginning of the split of the United Methodist Church while I was in seminary. Then we also had Hurricane Sandy that blew through Princeton. We had the Sandy Hook shooting in Connecticut, where I was a former school teacher, just a few miles up the road. Then Michael Brown's murder and the Ferguson uprisings as part of the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement. All of this happened while I was studying for whatever I was going to do with my life. And my seminary classmates around me, who were much more interested in working in churches at that point, which is a longer story, they were all grappling with how to make sense of all of this. With a death-dealing economy, with systems of injustice, with natural disasters, with gun violence. And one of the things that came out of this wrestling, this grappling, that I saw my classmates give themselves to was something called the Farminary. Started by someone who was an acquaintance, but who sought refuge out in nature and sought refuge in the soil. And so started a little community garden on some land that the seminary owned, and invited other students, invited residents of Princeton and Trenton to come and garden, and started building their own little economy, their own little veggie garden that eventually would supply both soup kitchens in Trenton and the seminary itself with food, and it taught students how to be, I don't remember the term you used, Mary Ellen, but halfway farmers, to stick our hands into the soil and to help things grow, which when you work with people in communities is kind of what we do, right? We're trying to help one another bloom and flourish. And so they created this Farminary, and it was based on eco-theology, this blend of ecology and theology that basically said, in Christian language, we see God in nature, right? We seek refuge out in the natural world. That the natural earth, Mother Earth, dear earth, is scripture. It's sacred language, sacred knowledge. And that seeing God in the natural world was also about elevating the natural world to be on the same level as humanity, if not above humanity, right? Because often we think of ourselves as the top of the food chain, and that can lead to some problems. It was a small operation at first, and then it became a little bit bigger, a little bit more multiracial, a little bit more multi-faith and faith-rooted. But it was part of this emergent strategy in response to all of this, to do something, to create something, to grow something. And it followed the emergent strategy rule, like we read from Adrienne Marie Brown, that what you pay attention to grows. What you put your energy into grows. Eco-theology. In Unitarian Universalist language, we had the Transcendentalist. You may have heard of this big word. Walden Pond, Emerson Channing, all these people, getting back to nature, right? Seeing the sacredness of nature. That's part of our UU history and heritage, right? But not just in Transcendentalism. Depending on what faith tradition you come from, Jewish and Christian theologies from the book of Genesis talk about being good stewards of the earth, working in the Garden of Eden metaphor. The Islamic theology of someone like Sayyid Hossein Nasr called for a recalling of traditional spirituality alongside the hard sciences that Islam was so famous for, right? Great astronomers and mathematicians, but also wanting to recall that there is something sacred about the earth and that perhaps the ecological crisis that our earth is in, that recalling traditional spirituality might be part of the medicine for healing that crisis. For our pagan friends, those who practice earth-centered traditions, there is something called the Gaia model of the earth that sees the earth as one living organism or a system of ecosystems, mutually sustaining one another, working between the living and the non-living ecosystems. If you've never looked into that, it's very, very interesting, and we could do a whole nother sermon on the Gaia model. For those who are humanists, but with a slant towards social justice and reparations, the idea of moving from ownership of land towards being caretakers or stewards of land, that is part of a reparations model, a reparations lens. It also has roots in indigenous spirituality, moving from this dominion model where humans are supposed to own and dominate and be in dominion over the land, to being stewards, to being symbiotic, to being co-creators with earth. No matter which way you look at it, the wisdom of Robin Wall Kimmerer and Braden Sweetgrass speaks to us. Right? She writes of this indigenous idea of stewardship, of being brothers and sisters and siblings with the earth, and not being above anything. This work is anti-colonial, anti-capitalist, and part of what we often refer to as decolonization. It's a lot of big words, but what it comes down to is this. When we think about all of this, we might feel a need to just shut down and retreat. We might feel a need to rise up and fight. We might feel a need to run away, right? Fight, flight, or freeze are often our responses. The way to get out of this stuckness, as my friends in seminary found, one of the ways was to engage in eco-theology, to get back out into nature, to stick your hands in the earth. And that regardless of your faith system, regardless of your faith vocabulary, eco-theology is for everyone. That's what I want to try and convince you of. Not just for granola people like me, right? Not just if you drive a Prius, not just if you drive an electric vehicle, that there's something to be learned from this for all of us. And I mean that quite literally. Because there's a deep strain of eco-theology that runs through all major religions, and because relationship is at the heart of all of those. And we're big on relationship here. Relationships at the heart of our faith that are meant to be reciprocal. That word that scared me in math, reciprocal, means give and take, right? It's not a one-way street. It goes both ways. To be reciprocal means that your relationships are based on generosity and mutuality. Generosity and mutuality. Sharon spoke about our town hall that was organized here yesterday with Rep. Rabb and Senator Haywood, and it was so amazing to see the pews filled with all different kinds of people bringing their own slant on what they were worried about and what they were hopeful for, building community together. And what I was hearing from this town hall while I was working on this sermon was the time to full-blown panic is not right now. And it's very easy to respond to the panic of everything that's on the TV, everything that's on your social media feed. But what I was hearing was that now is the time to lean into community building and building alliances, building bridges, growing things. And the electeds were offering up, we're trying to find funding and money and resources to build things. Right? We had the food pantry present, we had Northwest Mutual Aid Food Services present. It was folks who were trying to quite literally feed people and build resources to build up community. And I was so inspired by that. What you pay attention to grows. And everything I was hearing was about generosity and mutuality, giving to people so that they can be nourished, either in food, right, or in encouragement, so that when it's time to do the actions, when it is time to fight, right, that you have what you need. The idea of building something from the ground up takes energy and resources, and a lot of times takes food. Those kinds of resources are what Robin Wall Kimmerer speaks to. It's what eco-theology is about. seeing this life as a whole circle and knowing that you can't just do one thing and expect results, right? All of our systems are all interconnected. So if your response to all of this is simply to fight, 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 there can be a place for that. But it's not the only thing we need, right? That's how you burn out. And if your response is to hide or to freeze, that might be what you need, but it can't be the only thing, because that's called we give up, right? So, if eco-theology is part of our UU heritage, if it's multi-faith, if it's rooted in relationship, some might say covenant, why? What do I get out of it? I'm trying to convince you of this. What do I get out of it? Well, it is not just the moral superiority that I feel when recycling or planting trees or driving my electric vehicle, although that is nice. It is also about giving back, as Robin Wall Kimmerer says, giving back equally. Sometimes that requires some kind of sacrifice, giving of ourselves, but it is also about receiving something back. And what I've seen from the Farminary at Princeton Seminary, what I've seen from the emergent projects going on in UU world and around, what I've seen from the pantry and from the projects that we present at the town hall, what I think we get back when we do some eco-theology is that we do build resistance and resilience. See if you agree. For resistance, it is both building up our actual bodily resistance, nourishing ourselves with good food, with companionship, with partners. Food justice is a very important part of kind of the resistance with a big R, as we say, make sure that people have enough to eat. But it's also resistance to despair, fear, apathy, overwhelm is a word I've heard a lot and a word that I've felt a lot. And that doing something like planting a garden and doing eco-theology is resistance to those feelings. One of the saints, whose name I can't recall right now, was asked what he would do if he knew the world was ending tomorrow. His response was, I would plant an apple tree. Working on the world you may not see. If you were here before I was on sabbatical, which feels like last year, it may not have been last year, we spoke about Jesse Owens, famous U.S. athlete who competed in the U.S. Olympics over in Nazi Germany and who came back with oak trees as symbols of his gold medals. And he planted those oak trees in the ground, not knowing then that that was a defiant act against the racism of Nazi Germany and the racism of 1930s America, and that those oak trees would grow in districts in Cleveland that would go on to be redlined and would become some of the only green spaces in those redlined neighborhoods, and that the growing of trees, as we have learned since then, contributes to all kinds of wonderful health outcomes. It lowers the temperature on the streets. It lowers the cortisol levels in people who are around the trees. It provides better air quality, all of these things. Doing eco-theology builds resistance and builds resilience, because it can also be a community-building activity. If you were out there when we were hauling wood around and hauling bags of soil and mulch and getting sweaty together, it was really fun. And it was a great community-building activity, not only because we brought cookies, but doing those things together, giving and taking in this covenant of reciprocity, that's building community. That's building beloved community. And as Robin Wall Kimmerer talks, that is how we heal ourselves. God, that sounds so Texan. Hang on, let me try that again. That is how we heal. Woo-hoo. That is how we make ourselves better. Healing the earth heals us. Quite literally, not just in terms of our relationships, but our physical bodies. There is a multifaceted study that looked at doing community garden and other kinds of eco-theology. This is what it said. Multiple biopsychosocial factors may account for a direct or indirect positive impact of gardening activities on well-being, quality of life, and health status. For some people, gardening activities led to adoption of healthy behavioral practices, increased fruit and veggie consumption, physical activity, and a positive impact on several aspects of mental health and well-being. Proximity to nature infuses feelings of connectedness with nature that promote positive affect, lift mood, decrease cortisol, and increase feelings of tranquility. It provides an opportunity for greater community cohesion and social connectedness, increasing one's network of social support. It also lowers risk for vascular diseases, type 2 diabetes, cancer, and heart disease. They looked at something like more than 50 studies to do meta-analysis. They found that universally, when we stick our hands in the ground, it's good for us. It heals us, quite literally. When my 2 children are feeling overwhelmed by all of this, we do some eco-theology. In toddler language, the way to deal with anxiety, anger, despair, brokenness, that can be overcome and healed with 2 very simple steps. Give them a snack and take them outside. That's the baseline for what I'm trying to convince you of. That is not just us that need a snack and to be taken outside. That is also our systems, right, that can be healed this way. Having more people stick our hands in the earth, lower our stress levels, improve our air quality by planting trees, improve our mental health, engaging in this cycle of reciprocity, giving back to the earth that gives us what Robin Wall Kimmerer calls the privilege of breath. The privilege of breath. What do we do with those breaths? She writes, each of us comes from a people who were once indigenous, and we can reclaim our membership in the cultures of gratitude that formed our old relationships with the living earth. Gratitude is a powerful antidote to what ails us. A deep awareness of the gifts of the earth and of each other is medicine. Generosity and mutuality. When you give, you get back, friends. We talk about being healed, being made more whole, nurturing wholeness here. I believe that we are healed by our relationships when we work to heal those relationships. When we have a snack and we go outside and do something together, that is medicine. That's the whole basis of eco-theology, that it is a spiritual act to be in nature and to be a part of nature, and that the practice of generosity begets generosity, of mutuality begets mutuality, that the more you give, the more you get back. And not only does it make you healthier and helps build community, it also makes you happy. When you go and stick your feet in the grass or get your hands dirty, ask my 2 children. They love nothing more than to stick their hands in the dirt and eat whatever it is that's on it. They're doing eco-theology in their own way, right? So here at UU Mount Airy, there are lots of ways to do it. It could be planting your own garden. It might be helping out with our burgeoning garden outside. It might be going out and just touching the grass, opening your window and being still, buying a basil plant from Trader Joe's and naming her and growing her and talking to her, taking a walk in the Wissahickon, or simply finding a way to do your own little bit of eco-theology, to build resistance and resilience to all of this. Because what you pay attention to grows. And what you pay attention to that grows blooms. And when one thing blooms, the rest of us can bloom too. May that be so for us. Blessed be. I invite us to listen to a little bit of piano music from Lynn as we take in these words. That tune is one we'll sing for our final hymn, but is also the tune for Earth Was Given as a Garden, the inspiration for this sermon. Earth was given as a garden, cradle for humanity, tree of life and tree of knowledge, place for our discovery. Show us to again the garden where all life flows fresh and free. Gently guide us into full maturity. Teach us how to trust each other, how to use for good our power, how to touch the earth with reverence. Then once more Eden will flower. Thank you, Lynn. We are coming to the end of our service, and I want to lift up two things that are both very joyful and didn't really fit in with anything else. So I hope you'll indulge me. The first is that we are offering a New to UU class with Dr. Jim Walters that is on Saturday, May 18th, I think, 17th, Saturday, May 17th. If you are interested, look for the information in your order of service or in our newsletter, and please reach out to Jim. That's very exciting. We're hoping to have a new member ceremony here in the spring before our annual meeting at the end of the year. So if you are at all interested in what it means to become a member here and to vote on the budget and things like that, I would love to talk to you more about making that spiritual commitment, doing that kind of eco-theology here with us. And secondly, for those who were here, I don't know, can't even remember now, when Shay Dively was our intern minister, part of the UU minister formation process is that you do an official internship at a congregation. Shay did hers here over 2 years. And then you read a whole bunch of books and you sit for like the ordination exam, right? We call it the interview, that's what we call it. It's an exam, an oral exam, and you meet with the Ministerial Fellowship Committee, the MFC. Shay went before the MFC a few weeks ago, and she, I don't remember what they call it now, but she passed with flying colors. So you have like passed with flying colors, you have passed with mostly flying colors, and then try again next year. And she passed with flying colors, which I was not surprised by. I hope none of you were either. So that's very exciting. So we're trying to figure out how to celebrate that and make a more formal announcement from Shay, but wanted to let you all know that as soon as I found out. Okay. Friends, it has come time to extinguish our chalice. We invite you to come downstairs afterwards for coffee and cookies during coffee hour. Friends who are on Zoom, if you need anything, please reach out to me. Friends who are here in person, since I've been away, if you need anything, please reach out to me. Thank you for everyone who has reached out and wanted to go for a walk or to have tea. I would love to meet and hear what's going on in your lives and hear more about what you've been up to while I've been away. All right, that's enough for the do's and the don'ts. Our words to extinguish our chalice, I can't read them and extinguish the chalice, I have realized, so I've already extinguished the chalice, but we'll extinguish it in our hearts. They're also from Robin Wall Kimmerer. I invite us to read them together now. I want to stand by the river in my finest dress. I want to sing strong and hard and stomp my feet with 100 others so that the waters hum with our happiness. I want to dance for the renewal of the world. You rise in body or spirit one more time to sing our closing hymn that you can dance to if you like. It's number 1064, Blue Boat Home. The words are in the teal hymnal or on the screen behind me. 1064, Blue Boat Home. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Hellraisers. Thank you to you all for being here. Hear these words of blessing. Bless the earth and all your children, one creation. Make us whole, interwoven, all connected, planet-wide and inmost soul. Holy Mother, life bestowing, bid our waste and warfare cease. Fill us all with grace overflowing, and teach us how to live in peace. May it be so. Amen. Thank you, friends. We'll see you next week. That was lovely. Thanks, Len. That was lovely.